You're watching Knockouts Unlimited. I'm Joshua Burns. And you've been knocked out. Welcome to Knockouts Unlimited. I'm your host, Joshua Burns.
I'm your host, D.R. Bryant.
And I'm your host, Jose Romero.
Guys, we have great fights to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Definitely have an ultimate women's fight that took place, a rematch that set the women's division on fire, that actually put the ladies on notice throughout the world, bring them great exposure for their fight. And they did themselves well in that first fight by the level of competition that they engaged in. What was your thought on that fight, sir?
Man, this Serrano versus Katie Taylor fight was an amazing fight. I feel Amanda came in and did way better than she did in her first fight. She did everything that she was supposed to do in that ring to beat Katie. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on in the state of Texas and these judges.
I know, man.
But it was a robbery. I am very proud of what Amanda did. Katie went in there, did the same thing she did in that first fight, played a little dirty, and, you know, I think the judges were just more focused on the cut that Amanda had instead of actually what Amanda was proving and throwing and, you know, showing in that ring.
Now, I feel like the fight was pretty much basically a repeat of the first fight. I think if these women fought 10 out of 10 times, the fight would end the same 10 out of 10. You know, because Amanda is the same fighter, Katie is the same fighter. Day in, day out. It'll be the same. If Amanda took the necessary steps to use more movement, stepping to the side, I think she could stop Katie Taylor every time they fought. But if they fought the same style, it's going to be the same results 10 out of 10 times. It's going to be very close. It's going to be controversial every time. What was your take on it, Dean?
That's a great point you made. But before I go into that one, this fight with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, this is the Ali Frazier of their generation. They're going to continue to bring the best out of each other every time they fight. That's why I would love to see a trilogy. And also, you made a great point, right? With a few adjustments, Amanda Serrano can make the fight a lot easier for herself. Now, with the nature of the stances, southpaw versus orthodox, you got the rear hands farther away from each other, so you reach in for the cross, the head is going to automatically come with it. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that Katie Taylor was intentionally, I feel, trying to headbutt Serrano because you could tell that she was trying to catch her breath. You could tell she kind of started off a little slower. The body language wasn't there. Amanda was hitting her with overhands, was hitting her with hard straights, caught her off balance pretty early, and I felt like she was in a desperate situation and she needed to smother and she needed to stop Amanda Serrano's, I guess you could say her momentum, right? Now, one thing I would have loved to see is Amanda Serrano either stay a little bit lower on the inside because her chin was up, her head was up, which made her more susceptible for the headbutts from Katie Taylor.
And that's how she fights, though. That's her
Right,
style.
that's how she fights, and that's how she's been throughout her entire career with almost 50 fights. However, the decision was crazy. You talk about a point deduction, which it really should have been two. She was headbutted in the 4th, the 6th, and the 8th round, if I'm not mistaken. Not to mention she landed 107 more punches than Katie Taylor this fight. I don't understand why it was 95 to 94. However, Amanda Serrano should have at least stayed a little bit lower in the pocket, used her frames a little bit more to cover her temple and her jaw, or at least take a step back every time Katie Taylor came in, take a step back with the jab, or use her lateral movement a lot better.
Now, with that being said, I would say, me personally, I don't think anything was intentional that Katie was doing. That is her style. If you look at her style of boxing, she's done it with every single fighter she's fought. That is her style. She leads with her head. Now, that is intentional as far as her boxing style. Yes, she's going to lean.
How do you separate the two, though?
Yeah.
You separate the two by one has to be purposely done. Saying, okay, I'm going to leave my head with the intent to open up a cut if it touches that person. You know, that's the separation there. As far as her leading with her head, that's just her boxing style. Amanda's job as being a professional boxer is to find ways to not let that head hit you. And like you said, for one, maintaining the correct posture when you're inside, slipping to the sides, left and right, there are ways to avoid getting a headbutt. And I think she didn't take the necessary ways to avoid
I do
it.
agree.
Yeah, man, but I know you said something about a trilogy that you would like to see these two girls fight again. I think Amanda should go ahead and let it rest, find herself somewhere else, fight somewhere else. Because if she keeps on going after Katie, I think it'll be very bad for her mentally right now. Find something else, and if the opportunity later in the future, in a year and a half, it comes back, go for it. But I think,
well, you know, she challenged herself to be great.
Exactly.
So she's the 125-pound champion, so she needs to go back and remain at her true weight class.
Yeah.
That's where she needs to remain at. Any final thoughts on that?
I would just love to see where she goes after this fight. If she doesn't seek the rematch, which I know her coach was very adamant about, where would she go? Who would she face?
Okay. Well, I have a final thought on this. While I commend anyone for thinking outside the box and bringing attention to the sport of boxing, there is a certain attention that is needed where it's not needed, actually, with the Jake Paul's event. Jake Paul brings a lot of attention and money to his events, but it's just that, an event. It's an event for making money. That's all it's for. It's not to evolve his career. It's just for making money. To be fair to Jake, he's not the only one destroying boxing. You have a guy by the name of Floyd Mayweather that considers himself TBE, the best ever, that's constantly doing shows that should not be sanctioned. You know, it's just a money grab, as they say. This, I think, is really hindering boxing, and the nature of boxing is suffering because of it. Is boxing turning into something that's just for the love of money now? Is it just an entertainment section, or do people still want to be the best? A 27-year-old man versus a 58-year-old man should never be a sanctioned event in any combative sport. I've been your host, Joshua Burns.
I'm your host, D.R. O'Brien.
and I've been your host, Jose Romero.
This episode of Knockouts Unlimited was brought to you by the Blue Planet Media Group.